Namaste and welcome to this exciting episode of Sathology Debunking Mythology. Sat means truth, Logos means a study of science, Sathology means a science of truth or study of truth. That's what we focus on. Satya Mev Jayate. The truth only wins, and gradually, ev- people are tired of lying. So the mythology is going to die on its own death, not us. So we are not. We are just accentuating or speeding their death. Mythology is death. The word mythology means science of fake lie imagination or study of fake lie imagination. Today, I have a very, very special guest. I got three of his books, and they will be on my library. When you see the next video, you're going to see them behind me. I'm going to make sure. And also, amazing research this person has done. He has a profession and he works for, I won't say where, but he works for the Indian government. And then on part time, this is just his non-profit personal initiative. It has nothing to do with, he doesn't get paid for what he does. So without delay, let us welcome Sri Vedveer Arya.
Namaste, Aditya.
Namaste, namaste. So Vedveer it was a pleasure to meet you in Delhi, and I can still recall our conversation there in person.
No, it was, I think, wonderful meeting. I think meeting you in person was a delight.
So the we both have been working on the same thing, and the amount of research that you put in, like for viewers, I'll tell you, if you search Vedveer Arya on Amazon or you can try to get his books, it's 3 volumes this thick, like almost like 800 pages each, right? Am I right?
Yes,
And
yes.
there's so much of material over there which will help you. And I always say that it will help you to guide your own research, because the whole purpose of all of us we do is so that you research on these topics yourself and we just become a reference material for you to see. Am I right, Vidvirji?
Yes, certainly, because that gives a foundation so that we can perfect our research in future.
So one of the things is the banes of colonization. And one of the things I always say that I've written in my books is critical faith theory is behind the critical race theory. By the way, critical race theory is really affecting Americans the worst ever. This is the biggest leftist attack on Americans is critical race theory. And we are going one step further is critical faith theory. I think that is a root cause of critical race theory. And sometimes I often feel that critical race theory is a camouflage for critical faith theory. What do you have to say on that, Vidviji?
Yes, I always say Europe was almost, they were flourishing before Christianity was introduced to Europe. Scientifically, if you see the Greek, the way they progress philosophy, sciences, what went wrong with the Europe? Why they went into dark ages? Why? Because this faith became priority than the your that ideological exchange. Because the Shastrartha tradition, actually Greeks influenced from Indian philosophers and others. They started discovering the numerous facts, and then the debate was always a priority area in the education. But when Christianity was introduced, there was no place for the debates or even quest for any truth. So that led to this syndrome. So then, when the colonization started, then they started imposing their ideas and whatever. The biggest problem is what they thought as a theory never ever examined by any either by the European scholars or the other world scholars. Why? Because they believed that always, like a Christian era, they said that this is our era. But there is hardly any article or any research paper exists to prove that how the Christian era, the epoch of Christian era, first AD, why it is historical or why it's not historical. No debate at all. But entire world chronology has been reconciled considering the first AD as a sheet tank. Someone has to establish the authenticity, historicity of the first AD so that we can serve. But what happened in the colonial era? Every civilization's traditional history or chronological history has been debunked, or actually they discarded, and a new chronological framework has been introduced to reconcile entire world chronology. Prior to the colonization, every civilization followed their own chronological history. Nobody ever questioned their chronological history. When they started reconciliation, then there is a problem. If you have your whatever the sheet anchors you are following, if there is an error, then the same error will be there in every chronology. So this was the main reason why this colonization actually did fundamentally wrong with the chronological histories of all world ancient civilizations. So there is a serious debate is required to work out why traditional chronological histories went wrong in only last 300 years. There was no, not a book, no ever questioned the chronology of the traditional chronology of various civil, because every civilization has their own historians and they wrote books, but never questioned the authenticity. The problem actually started when the James Ussher, Lightfoot, Newton, they started considering the first AD as the sheet, Jesus' birth, and then 4000 is the date of creation, BC, 4000 BC as the date of creation. Then you have no way, no any antiquity of the ancient civilization has been rejected, because nothing existed beyond 2000 BC, because they had some kind of a biblical deluge. So prior to that, only few guys existed. So all civilizations began only after deluge. So the faith drive the research.
That's the case we see everywhere. The faith is the critical faith theory that my faith is better than yours is what
Yes,
driven the civilizing missions to Africa, India, including Europe.
yes,
What the Abrahamic faith or the church did in Europe is unpardonable. Like I question them that when you talk about human rights, what about the human rights of natives of Europe, the Gothics, the Germanic tribes, the Francos, the Gauls, the Visigoths? All those things are missing completely out. you know s-
yes.
s- the champions of the left have completely forgotten their own continent right now.
But Indian tradition always followed, even beginning. Why our Vedic tradition has so many branches? Like Rig Veda had 9, 10 branches, even Yajurveda had almost 100 branches, and the Samaveda had more than 1000 branches. This is only due to the Shastrartha, the kind of debates, then any differences. So the difference has been actually respected and given a separate school of thought and recognized. It's not rejected. Similarly, if you see the Kumarila Bhatta's time, Prabhakara was his own disciple, but he disagreed with his teacher. And that's why Mimamsa Darshan has the two different schools, Prabhakara school and the Kumarila Bhatta school. So even later, like Advaita, then we have the Vishishta because the Ramanuja disagreed with the Advaita, what Shankara says.
Yes,
Then Madhvacharya differed with the Ramanuja. So many schools of philosophies, because every school of philosophy has its own logic and the facts based on that. That's why all sorts of the thoughts and the ideologies, philosophies have been respected, because India is the only civilization which always upheld the knowledge, not faith.
that's right. The karma and the realized experiential knowledge has been the
Yes,
basis of Indian civilization. And
yes,
like you said, it strikes me also last 300 years is what the dating and and it's like a mindless, just putting random dates actually nowadays. And you and I were speaking about St. Thomas also. They just a random dates, there's nothing there. And the one of the things I've seen is they just produce documents after documents after documents, and then they verify amongst themselves. It's a closed councils, never, you don't know what's the methodology of calculation, nothing. And so we have
yes.
to just believe them blindly because they got a Peace Prize or Nobel Prize. And Nobel Prize, we all know that Norwegian Council gives a Nobel Prize.
Hmm. All are, we can say, promoted or kind of promoted prizes. It's not
Yeah,
actually anybody as a real achievement. Yes, some real achievements in the scientific field, But other are politically motivated. Any peace prizes or any even literary activities are actually more say. If you say Magsaysay Award, what Philippines say, I found he always selects such a person. He is a nuisance for Indian society.
That's right.
All Magsaysay awardees are the nuisances to the Indian politics or Indian social fabric. They want such people who can actually destroy the Indians, whatever the order or Indian traditional knowledge. So some way, these prizes are certain institutions, they are actually working for their interest and against the Indian interest. So anybody who is useful to them, they select them for a particular international prize. So international prizes are not a recognition; they are just
Right.
rewards to pursue their own interest.
Yeah. So we can get started. And you
Huh.
said about the prizes, and I really want the Indian government to, if Indian government doesn't start, and Sathology will start some prizes, where we want to definitely reward people for honesty and truth. Uh, Most of the voices in the West on truth are completely subdued by the media, by the academics, and there are a lot of good people in many parts of the Western world, but they are never in the limelight because
Yes.
the popular view or the mythological view is the most prominent view right now.
Yes.
So you can get.
Yes. 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 That, we are just talking about the colonization, what actually they did to the world. Uh, it's well known. Like India used to contribute more than 27%, or even you go back to the ancient, probably we Indians contributed 50% of GDP to the world. So even around 17th century, India used to contribute 27%, and finally, when Britishers left India, hardly 2% of the GDP. So they did harm to the economy, everything. But one thing we have to, they did also a lot of damage to the traditional chronological history also. Actually, what happened? It's not that they just wanted to anything intentionally do it. The real problem was they wanted to reconcile the world chronology, considering the basic some sheet anchors. Why they needed to reconcile? Because they were basically Christians by birth, and they grown up in the Christian society. So they, because Bible say refers to
To
the
prove,
Assyrian kings.
yeah, to prove supremacy of their faith.
Huh,
That's the main thing.
and they have to establish the authenticity of the historical information given in the Bible also. This is the another additional responsibility on them apart from the faith. Otherwise, they would have been before 17th century. If somebody has questioned the authenticity of Bible, they would have been actually executed the way they did with the other Galileo and other famous some
You know,
scientists.
there is a very famous saying which I only wrote: the truth is self-evident, okay, and the lies have to
Yes.
be fabricated by the councils.
Yes, yes. So the Genesis chapter, whatever the historical information in the Bible, they wanted to establish the authenticity. So for that purpose, what they need to reconcile, because Bible refers to Babylonian kings, even the Persian kings, then the Assyrians, Egyptian kings, and numerous. So they have no other option to reconcile it. So for that purpose, what they thought, if they started following the traditional chronologies, they could not reconcile it. Why? Because before 17th century, they already reconstructed the Julian calendar as well as the Gregorian reform, so-called the famous Gregorian reform took place somewhere in the 1582 or 84. So by that time, then one Scaliger, he was the person who actually the reconstructed the calendar. So he started questioning certain chronological issues related to Bible. So now the James Usher was provoked. He was some Archbishop of Ireland and others. So he gave a world chronology. So what he did, he just said, let us assume first AD as the Jesus birth, because they have reconstructed the Julian calendar considering the first AD.
That's right.
Prior to that, Christian society used to follow either Diocletian era or Martyrs era, prior to this, Rome followed Roman era, an era that commenced from the foundation of the Rome city. Okay, in between they used to mention how many years have been elapsed starting from the Jesus incarnation, the Jesus birth and or his crucifixion. These problems existed. But never, no historian before 10th century or 11th century ever used Christian era to give any dates. And even Vatican City has no records to give that whether Christian era has been officially used before 11th, 12th century. All Christian records prior to 12th century refer to either Diocletian era or Marcus era. Okay. Even papyrus records are available up to 14th century. The Christian societies, they use these epochs. Then after 16th century onwards, they started using this Christian era. Then they started imposing Gregorian calendar. This is how entire Europe started accepting the Gregorian calendar. And finally, the entire Europe by 17th, 18th, they accepted. Since 1st AD has been used as an epoch to reconstruct the Julian and the Gregorian calendar. So the historians in the Europe, they simply blindly assumed that 1st AD is the Jesus birth. Now, it means you have to fix the date of Augustus 44 years before Jesus, or the Julian calendar, the Julius Caesar. Thereafter, 25, 26 years before the Jesus is the epoch of Augustus. This is how chronology they reconstructed, and they started reconciling the entire world chronology. So due to that, what happened? I'll just show you one my presentation. So now you see, now entire world chronology is the single pillar edifice. Okay, so this is the Jesus birth date, and above that entire world chronology has been reconstructed. Now, if this is wrong, then entire world chronology will collapse. But is there any research paper or research article to produce any evidence or fact why 1st AD has to be established as the Jesus birth? I am not questioning the historicity of the Jesus. Here, how you have arrived the date of Jesus. Jesus was a historic person. Because as per the historical information available, he lived 26th, 27th, he was born in 26th, 27th regnal year of Augustus, or 44 years after the Julius, when he introduced the Julian calendar. So this leads to some other problems. What happened? This is the solution what modern historians are following. The entire world chronology, they reconcile considering the 1st AD. This leads to a chronological problem not only in India as well as the various world civilizations, because after 17th century, all traditional chronologies of Greek, Egypt, Babylon, or India, or China have been rejected and reconstructed based on the 1st AD as a sheet anchor. Now, what is the real problem in Indian chronology? What I am giving the dates here, this is the what I reconciled based on our traditional chronology. Traditional chronology refers to Buddha Nirvana somewhere 19th century BC, not in the 5th century. But what this leads to a problem. What is the problem here? That the script Ashokan Brahmi and Old Kharoshti, this script existed during this period. Okay. Then Kushana Brahmi and late Kushana Brahmi existed during the Kushanas and Shatavahanas. Then the Gupta Brahmi, because this is called paleography based on the inscriptions. In Indian archaeological research, we have epigraphic evidence starting from Buddha or Ashoka. So when you reconstruct this chronological paleography, so this is the well-established fact. But the problem would be, we all agree that Alexander lived around 356, 323 BC. Okay, but how this date has been arrived? With an assumption that Jesus was born in 1st AD, And Alexander died 322, 323 years before Jesus' birth. So this is how 323 BC date has been arrived for the Alexander. But in entire historical documents available in the Europe, they give the Alexander date either in Persian era, that is called Nabonassar's epoch of Nabonassar era, or they refer to the epoch of Roman era or the Olympiad era. But this reference to the Christian era was never existed prior to that. But some 17th century, it was actually James Ussher and Lightfoot and Newton. They established that Alexander has to be dated around 323 BC. But what is the real problem? The problem is reference to Indo-Greek kings in the edicts of Ashoka. Okay. Now, Indo-Greeks have been mentioned. Now the problem is the Ashokan Brahmi and old Kharoshti, the inscription, actually, the inscriptions written in Ashokan Brahmi and Kharoshti refer to Indo-Greek kings. So you have to date Indo-Greek kings somewhere in the 8th century, 18th century BC to the 12th or 11th century BC. This leads to a chronological problem in India, because the modern historians simply assume that all Indo-Greek kings have to be dated after Alexander. Actually, that's historically wrong, even chronologically wrong. But first, we have to establish the paleographic as well as the traditional chronology, how both can be reconciled. If you see what I'm actually showing, the problem in Indian chronology, this is the Ashoka one pillar inscription. You can clearly see the letters, and this is the Ashoka. And this is one coin of Agath Coles. And whatever the Brahmi inscription he has used, this is also almost closer to the Ashokan Brahmi. Then this is the inscription of Heliodorus, who visited Vidisha during the reign of Shunga dynasty. So now, as per the reconstruct chronology, the Heliodorus has to be dated in the 14th century BC, where the Agatha calls in the 15th century, and Ashoka has to be dated in the 18th century. Now the problem is, then Alexander has to be dated around 323 BCE, considering the first AD as the sheet anchor. Sorry. Now, this is the one paradox in Indian chronological history. If date of Alexander has to be established around 323 BCE, then Puranic chronology cannot be correct, because Puranic chronology refers to Nandas and the Mauryas and even Buddha prior to 17th and 18th century BC. If this is the reason, if you accept Alexander date as 323 BCE, you will land up rejecting the entire traditional Puranic chronology. Both cannot be correct. Either one is valid. Now, the paleography also indicates that Sandrakotak can never be Chandragupta or Samudragupta of Gupta dynasty, because the Sandrakotas referred by the Greek historians has to be dated prior to Gupta dynasty. This is the reason, and another misinterpretation or a concoction, that historians date all Indo-Greek kings after Alexander, though Arin clearly mentions that already Greek settlements existed in Afghanistan when Alexander invaded Afghanistan. It means Indo-Greek kings were well settled in Afghanistan prior to invasion of Alexander. So this assumption is totally historically wrong, that all Indo-Greek kings have to be dated after Alexander. So the additional responsibility on the Indian chronologist or a historian who is working on Indian chronology, he has no other option to reconcile the chronological history of the Greece. Why? Because we have to reconcile the Greek chronology with reference to Indian chronology, because Alexander's invasion and the Indo-Greek, the chronology of Indo-Greek kings has to be clearly established while redefining or re-establishing the traditional Indian chronology. Now let us see how the date of Alexander has been established by modern historians. They just assumed that Nabo-Nasarian era is had commenced somewhere in 2748 BC. Again, the epoch, the modern historians arrived this epoch considering the first AD of the sheet anchor again. So they have, there is an assumption already while arriving the epoch of Nabo-Nasarian era. The Ptolemy's canon, as well as some cuneiform tablets, they clearly mention that Alexander defeated Darius III in 416th year of Nabo-Nasar's era, and he became the king of Babylon. Now, 416th year, they calculate starting from 748 BC. But this epoch they arrived considering the first AD of the sheet. So that is totally wrong. What you are doing, you have assumed one words to arrive the chronology. But whatever the point you have fixed, that itself is not verified. Just a faith-based sheet anchor cannot deserve to be a sheet anchor of the world chronology. But what the historians did this monumental mistake in world chronology, they just assumed first AD as the Jesus birth without any historical or facts they have not yet presented. Yes, there were Augustus date has to be arrived based on the Roman era, not based on the Jesus birth. What they did, the historians did, they just arrived the Augustus date considering the first AD of the sheet anchor. Now, according to the same Ptolemy's canon and other epigraphic evidence of that, so he died in 424 or 25th year of Nabo-Nasarian era. So what the world chronology the sheet anchor of world chronology should be the epoch of Nabo-Nasarian era, not first AD. So we have to first arrive independently the epoch of Nabo-Nasarian era, because this is more ancient than the Jesus date. That's why the Nabo-Nasarian era has to be scientifically established first before arriving the date of Jesus. But the world historians didn't vice versa. They first assumed the date of Jesus' birth, and then they fixed the date of epoch of Nabo-Nasarian era. What they did, they just 416, so 748 minus 416 years, so they arrived 332 BCE. This is the year in which Alexander, and in 324, 325, 324, 323. Now, there were other historical eras like Roman era. It is again they worked out the epoch of Roman era considering the first AD because the foundation of Roman city was 751 years before Jesus' birth. So the assumption of Jesus' birth is again first AD. The Olympiad era, again the epoch of Olympiad era, because Olympiad era, the epoch has to be dated 776 years before the Jesus birth. And while arriving the 775 BCE as the epoch of Olympiad era, there is an assumption that Jesus was born in first AD. Even the Seleucid era, so actually the historians say that the Seleucid epoch commenced in 436 or 437th year of Nabo-Nasar era, or 11 years after the death of Alexander. Now, again, they assume the Jesus birth in first AD and fix the epoch of Seleucid era in 312 BC. And the Augustus era, because Jesus was born in the 28th regnal year of Augustus. So what they did, they just went back considering the first AD as the Jesus birth. They fixed the epoch of Augustus era in 27 BC. This is how Every epoch of various sheet anchors or epoch of eras of Europe or Western civilizations have been fixed considering the first AD as the Jesus birth, and this is actually a blind faith. They have not yet presented, not a single research paper has ever presented in any university last 300, 400 years to prove why first AD is a historical epoch. Till there's no research paper exists. I haven't read. Even you go search in the Google, you will never find why first AD has to be accepted, because a sheet anchor has to be independently established. What historians do, they just fix the Augustus date and then they justify the Jesus date based on the Augustus date. A date is dependent on a particular epoch can't become a sheet anchor. Sheet anchor has to be independently verifiable. So first AD epoch cannot independently, it can't be verified independently. That's why I always say that first AD does not deserve to be a sheet anchor of world chronology. We need to actually re-establish new sheet anchors, even ancient epochs like Nabonassar era, or even we have to go back to establish the epoch of Sothis calendar, the Sothic calendar of Egypt also, so that we can arrive the scientifically true chronology of the Western civilizations. So let us see what is the historical information available about the birth year of Jesus. So Eusebius, what he says, he simply says that in the third year of 194th Olympiad, or 42nd year of Augustus, or 28th year after subjugation of Egypt. So now there is no reference to Jesus' birth here for arriving the date of Jesus. What you have to do, you have to first establish the epoch of Olympiad first too, then you have to calculate 194th Olympiad in which third year. Similarly, the Augustus date, Augustus chronology has to be established first to prove the date of Jesus' birth. It can't be done in a vice versa. But modern historians established Augustus date considering the first AD of the sheet anchor. So this is totally a wrong methodology. Yes, Hippolytus, what he says, he was born on Wednesday on the 8th day after the calends of January and the 42nd year of Augustus. And then he calculates another 5,500th year from Adam. Now, Epiphanes, he says Jesus Christ was born in the 42nd year of Augustus when Augustus was consul for the 13th time. So if you see, everywhere the date of Augustus is more important to establish the date of Jesus' birth. So what historians do, they have to establish the Augustus date without referring to first AD. Then only the Augustus date should become a sheet anchor. And Augustus date has been arrived based on the Roman era. So you have to establish the epoch of Roman era. Or if you are following the Greek historians, then you have to establish the Olympiad era or epoch of Nabonasarian era first before establishing the Jesus birth epoch. But the European historians did the grave mistakes because they blindly following the Christian faith. Since they were following in a particular Easter epoch called first AD, they just assumed that that was our incarnation of our God. So that faith led to revision of entire world chronology. So I'm questioning how world historians last 300 years, how they assumed, what was the basis to assume first AD of the Jesus birth. But I'm asking them to present an independent evidence or historical evidence. Don't simply link it with the Augustus, but Augustus date can only be established if you establish the first AD. But what we need to do, we need to reinvent the new sheet anchors of ancient sheet anchors, like the epoch of Nabonasarian era has to be established without referring to first AD. So these are the challenges. Even there is a Venus tablet found in Babylon. So Babylonian chronology, Egyptian chronology have to be established without referring to first AD. This is the challenge what I'm throwing to the world historians. Then the Clement of the Alexandria, he also is 194 years before the death of Commodus. He was a Roman emperor. Then Africanus. Then he said resurrection of Jesus in the second year of 202nd Olympiad. And the other, he follows Anno Mundi. So Anno Mundi era can't be established. You have to first establish the true sheet anchors like epoch of Nabonidus era, epoch of Olympiad era, and the epoch of Roman era. Then you have to establish the epoch of Venus tablet, because Venus tablets give the exact chronology of the first dynasty of Babylon and the Hammurabi dynasty, because Hammurabi was the contemporary of Abraham as recorded in Bible. So these are certain, even New Testament, he says 312 years after the era of Alexandria, that is Seleucid era. Jesus was about 30 when he was baptized. So this is the Gospel of Luke. So this information is there in the New Testament. But first we have to establish the epoch of Seleucid era. We should not do in a wrong way, that we first establish the Jesus birth, then we establish the epoch of Seleucid era. So this is another, there was some kind of a census. This is also a controversial issue, how to chronologically establish. But these all problems we can solve it if we can establish certain sheet anchors of Western chronology scientifically without referring to a faith-based epoch called Christian era. If you, I'll give you some external evidence whether the Jesus birth was undisputed in entire history. No. What the Abul Fazl indicates a dispute about the date of Jesus birth. So what I want all the listeners or whoever is just tuned into the Sattology, just take a note of it. Abul Fazl of Ain Akbari, he indicates there was a dispute about the date of Jesus' birth. So what he writes, the Christian era, this begins with the birth of Jesus Christ. The commencement of their year, some take to be the entry of the sun in Capricorn, other from the 8th degree of the same. What Abul Fazl is saying, he's saying that there is a tradition, a section of Christians, they start the epoch of Christian era when sun entered into 0 degree of Capricorn, the Makara Rashi in Indian astronomy. But there is another section of Christians, they believe that the epoch of Christian era commenced when sun entered into the 8th degree of the thing. So there is a difference of 8 to 9 degrees. So if you take the precession, 72 years or 72 years per degree precession, the error is almost 648 years. What I'm talking about, the chronological error of 660 years. So the two different traditions existed about means there was a dispute about the date of Jesus' birth. So there is a need to establish what actually we have to consider. So since there is a dispute on the epoch of Christian era, even there is no independently verifiable, even we could not establish the astronomical evidence called Star of Bethlehem. So the Christian era or the epoch of birth of Jesus' birth is based on the other epochs of Western chronology. So we have to first establish the chronology up to Augustus before arriving the Jesus birth. We can't just fix a Jesus birth in 1st AD and then start unfolding the chronology backwards. That is the totally a childish and unscientific methodology what has been adopted in last 300, 400 years. So the difference, what I talked about, almost roughly 9 degrees. So 72 into 9, it comes around 648 years. And similarly, I said that the Jesus birth has to go back to another 660 years, not 1st AD. So this is how what I have established, that there is also an error of 660 year, almost an identical error what actually has been cropped in Indian chronology also due to mixing up of two different epochs of Shaka era. So this is actually what happened, why such chronological problem was there in dating of Jesus' birth, because the Eastern Church during the Byzantine Empire, Syrian Christians and the Eastern Church used to follow Indian Shaka calendar to arrive the Easter dates. Prior to that, Western Church used to follow either Greek. Initially, they followed Jewish, but later, due to since they disliked the Jewish traditions, so they started following the Greek lunisolar calendar to arrive the date of Easter by the various councils. But when Eastern Church started, became more powerful, at that time, the Syrian Christians, they used to follow Indian chronology because Indian calendar was more popular in the Arab and as well as in the Syria. So they started following Shaka calendar. When Shaka calendar has been brought forward in the 78 AD, 600, because the Indian astronomers actually reset the calendar. Same the Christian, the Christians also started following Indian, the revised calendar also. But since both were called Shaka, so they started first AD, actually 78 years before the Indian calendar. So this is how, why there is an identical chronological era of 660 years in Western chronology and Indian chronology. This is the basic problem, that Shaka calendar has been brought forward by 660 years, and Eastern Church used to follow Indian Shaka calendar for arriving the chronology, arriving the Easter dates. Because initially they followed kind of some 532 years a block or some 100 years block, but later they just discarded those tables. They just followed the a very refined Indian, very scientific Indian calendar, so that they had never any problems in arriving the Easter date after the 5th century or 7th century onwards. So this is the problem. How first AD? Because they say that the Dionysius Exiguus, he was the first person who he came up with the calendar in 532 in 528 AD. And then he said, since the incarnation of our Lord Jesus Christ, but he did not say like that. And then Anglo-Saxon historian Venerable Bede, he actually refers to Anno Domini 731. This Anno Domini has nothing to do with the Jesus birth. This is just an assumption. Actually, the Dionysius Exiguus, he calculated the Easter table of the 19 years, starting from the Anno Diocletiani. He is actually referring to epoch of Diocletian, and the year was 248. Now, this actually a valid research methodology actually demands that you have to fix the epoch of Diocletian era first before arriving the epoch of Anno Domini. But that didn't happen. They just simply fix the first AD as the Anno Domini. Then they say that 248 is the beginning of the year. So what they did, they just assumed the epoch of Martyr era is an identical to the Diocletian era, and they fixed the epoch in 284. Then they added 248. They arrived the date of 525. This is totally a childish methodology. Since Dionysius calculated the epoch of the epoch of his Easter table must begin from the epoch of Diocletian era, that is the 248th year. The 248th year can only be calculated when you independently establish the epoch of Diocletian era. Now, there is a one rare manuscript in which it is clearly mentioned 802 Annorum. He is referring to 802nd year, starting from the epoch of Jesus' birth. But what historians distorted this 802 into 532. If you see, this is the Roman number, and they just changed it to 802 to 532. So this is completely a fraudulent methodology. You just distorted the entire, the actually real documents of related to Dionysius Exiguus. And then you actually conveniently, you just fix the first AD as the Jesus birth or the epoch of Anno Domini. But Anno Domini has nothing to do with the epoch of Jesus birth. So these are the main problems in the world chronology. We have blindly a faith-based epoch, that is first AD, has been assumed as the sheet anchor for the world chronology. So actually, this is the serious problem. This problem has to be reconciled. For this purpose, what we need to do, we have to arrive the epoch of Diocletian era without referring to first AD. Then only we can solve this problem, and as well as the epoch of Martyrs era. There are numerous papyrus records available in which they refer to both epochs in a different years. Like they refer to Diocletian era as well as the Martyrs era in two different years. That clearly indicates that the epoch of Diocletian era was not identical to the epoch of Martyrs era. But historians simply assumed without any evidence. They have not presented. I am asking this question: what was the basis to say that the epoch of Diocletian era and the epoch of Martyrs era both were identical? There is no evidence, just an assumption. The way first AD as an assumption, this is another assumption. These two assumptions completely distorted the world chronology. So this is the Christian tradition, 42nd year Augustus, Anno Mundi. Then they call it Anno, Passionis. Then the Anno Incarnatione. This is actually the Jesus birth. Then we have the Diocletian era. Then we have a Anno Domini, but that is linked to Diocletian, nothing to do with the Jesus birth. So we have to establish the epoch of Diocletian era to establish the epoch of Anno Domini. So there were 7 councils also. These are the dates. So then finally, nowhere this Christian tradition up to Second Council of Nicaea, they never referred to epoch of the Jesus, but they actually refer to the Augustus, and then they refer to the Anno Incarnation and other. So the onus is on the world historians to first establish the date of Augustus without referring to first AD, because first AD has no independently verifiable evidence. So now the West up to 14th century, they used Anno Nabonus, that is the Nabonusarian era, Olympiad era, Roman era, Augustus era, Antonius era, Diocletian era, Martyrs era. These are the eras mentioned by the Western historians. They never mentioned any first AD as the Jesus birth, or they didn't ever refer to at all. But after the before Ottomans, East era of Adam, Anno Mundi, Seleucid era, Diocletian era, Martyrs era, they used. Then during the 13th, 14th century, Anno Domini replaced Martyrs era. So this actually, that first AD became as an epoch of Jesus' birth only 13th, 14th century. Then the Gregorian, this is how they reconstruct the Julian calendar considering the 1st January. Then this actually 15th, 16th century onwards, the Christian world started referring to the Anno Domini and before Christ. Prior to that, there is no reference to this BC concept, or actually before Christ dates never mentioned. Actually, these are all Anno Domini references. Actually, first AD has been assumed as the Anno Domini, but the epoch of Anno Domini was totally different. I just shown. He is actually giving 802 years starting from the when the Dionysius Exiguus calculated the first 19, the Easter table of 19 years. This is actually the reconciliation of the world chronology has begun only Ussher, because certain Western scholars like Scaliger and others, they started questioning the certain authenticity of biblical chronology. So now the agitated Christians started to counter academically. So what the Ussher and Lightfoot and Newton, they actually founded the biblical chronology. So it appears very funny. Some have even worked out date, even time also for the creation. That's all totally highly unscientific, but many scientists of that era, they just believed in these foolish 4004. And Solomon's temple, they just fixed 1,000 years before Jesus' birth. Then the Jesus birth date was always a confusion. Some said 5th BC, Herod, because Herod died in 4th BC, so Jesus birth has to be dated before the death of Herod. Then death of Alexander, also an assumption considering the first AD. So these are all. Then the Lightfoot came with the creation date, also time, morning 9 o'clock, God created this world. Then Newton fixed the creation days in 4000. He probably he loved the round figures, so he selected a round figure of 4000 BC. Then Jesus' birth, first AD is fixed. But astronomical evidences available in the various documents like biblical sources, Star of Bethlehem. This is the reason the Kepler, he deferred and he fixed the date in somewhere 7th BC. So this is how we are following this Ussher Lightfoot chronology. And ironically, these Christian historians, they called it as a secular chronology. And all traditional chronologies have been tagged as the communal chronologies or mythological chronology. I don't know how Christian chronology has become a secular chronology. So this is how the entire, all Western historians have been under the hypnotic influence of this Ussher Lightfoot chronology. Even today, nobody has any courage or they don't dare to question why first AD has to be accepted as the sheet anchor of the world chronology. So I actually challenge the world historians, why not we rethink about the this kind of a methodology in which we have just assumed one epoch that is called first AD as the sheet anchor. Then we fix the entire chronology going backwards, like we just fixing of Nabon-Assarinian. What we did, we just go back to the 740 years from first AD and just fix. But due to that, the Sothic calendar, because Nabon-Assarini era is closely linked with the Sothic calendar of Egypt. So that creates a very numerous problems in the world chronology, because you can't explain actually even today till the Achaemenid Empire, the Egyptian, the dates of Egyptian kings are still, there is no absolute chronology. Why? Because we are following a wrong epoch of Nabon-Assarian era in 748 BC. Due to that, numerous dates given in Sothic calendar went wrong. Then we simply just rejected every astronomical evidence, or because Sothic calendar is perfectly reconcilable, because it exactly follows 365 days per year, that's all. So that calendar becomes verifiable. Any date given in Sothic calendar is absolutely verifiable if you follow the exact epoch. Since the world historians blindly believed in the historicity of the first AD, so that's why they had no other option to fix the epoch of Nabon-Assarian in 748 BC. Then they just rejected the chronology of entire, means the traditional chronologies of entire world. This is the reason why the traditional chronology of the Greece, Babylon, even Assyrian, Egyptian, all chronologies went wrong. Similarly, the Indian chronology also went wrong, and the Chinese chronology was also went wrong. So then they simply brought forward the chronology. The antiquity has been reduced. So our what I am saying, my only one challenge, one request to the world historians: please review your sheet anchors. Review sheet anchor of the first AD. Review your assumption that Diocletian era and Mark era are identical. There is no evidence. Both are two different epochs. There is a difference of 360 years between Diocletian era and Marcus era, established in my book. This is the reason why there is that phantom time hypothesis has been certain German historians, they always come out. There is some chronological error of 300 years. Actually, that error is due to this wrong assumption that Diocletian era and Marcus are identical. So this is the Aditya I think discussion we can restrict up to this. We will further explore the what are real other problems what we have to discuss in the world chronology. So the bottom line is we have to re-examine the historicity of first AD. First AD historicity means not the person, a person whether he is historic or not. Historicity of the epoch, on what basis the world is following first AD as the Jesus birth. Please present independent evidence, because sheet anchor has to be independently verifiable. If it is not independently verifiable, so then the date an epoch is not deserved to be a sheet anchor of the world chronology. So we need to re-establish new sheet anchors for the world chronology. That is my my actually I'm challenging the world historian. Please review your sheet anchors. Only the date of the if we can easily establish the Venus tablet dates I have explained, as well as the epoch of Sothic calendar and the epoch of Nabonidus era. These should be the epoch of Nabonassar gives the very perfect chronology of Persia. And if we can establish the perfect epoch of the Sothic calendar, these two epochs would be great sheet anchors to establish the traditional chronology. Is absolutely wrong. Then based on that, you can arrive the epochs of Olympiad era as well as the Roman era. Based on that, you can arrive the Augustus date. Once you establish the entire Western chronology up to Augustus, thereafter you should fix the date of Jesus. Don't fix Jesus' birth in first AD since you have some blind faith or blind assumptions. Then you start revising the entire chronology. This is the reason why numerous historical and chronological facts given in Bible also went wrong, since we followed a wrong sheet anchors. If you follow the right sheet anchors, the historical and chronological information given in the Bible are absolutely authentic. That I have proven. Ji, Aditya ji.
Thank you so much for sharing. And I think the confusions of the Western calendaring system are also being resolved by the Indians. So that's what I can see right now, because what you're suggesting them to correct, to revise their own dates.
I'm just saying, anybody, you just you just forget about the entire world. You just think about why we are following this first AD calendar. You have any verifiable evidence that on first AD Jesus was born? Nothing.
Nothing.
You have to link with him, Augustus. Then what you do? They do this that circular reasoning. Like since Augustus was there somewhere 27 years before Jesus, so he has 727 BC, and they justify Jesus' date considering the Augustus date. It is totally, it appears very childish methodology. Since you had an assumption, you are just playing around with that assumption. It's not an evidence.
You know, the Cairo University came up with very interesting report because Osiris was an Egyptian god who was also crucified, and he also came back to life in 7 days. And Osiris, Ge, and Ra, these are the three deities or whatever gods of the Egyptian pantheon. And so many Western scholars even doubt whether Jesus ever existed. This is the Western. This is not your analysis, not mine. It's a Western analysis actually, and they think that the stories of Moses and stories of Osiris were taken up to build their faith in the Byzantine Empire, because that Byzantine Empire is where all these stories are being taking place. Constantinople, and which was today's Istanbul. So this is what is going on according to Western scholars who doubt even the existence of Jesus. So there are many things that need to be answered, and even if you assume the story of Jesus is authentic, but still the dates itself are in question. And there's one scholar who said the 6th century is probably they finalized the New Testament, but the 9th century is by the time it actually started becoming popular amongst Europeans because the European conquest was not completed until 9th century and to some extent until 12th century.
Yes.
So there are a lot of doubts there. What do you have to say on that?
Yes. No, because I started my entire research examining the Indian chronology. The problem was we are simply blindly following 323 BC as the Alexander date.
Correct.
Due to that, what happened? Our entire traditional chronology went wrong.
That's right.
And he has no reference in any Indian literature, or there is nothing to do with the Indian chronology. Since Indo-Greek kings existed. So what historians assume, the Indo-Greek kings came only after Alexander. This is another wrong assumption where the Greek historians clearly record there already Greek settlements existed in Afghanistan when Alexander landed in Afghanistan. So these are the problems. So then I started, let us independently verify the chronology of the Greece. Then I found that every historian simply starting the chronology as an assumption that first AD is the Jesus birth. As a chronologist, it is a non-issue for me whether a particular person existed or not. That is a different issue. My problem is you are following a particular date. Okay, I have to verify it has any evidence to establish the date or not. If the date cannot be independently verifiable, then the date cannot become a sheet anchor.
That's right.
So first AD has no independently verifiable. Then on what basis you made it this foolish epoch has been made as a sheet anchor for the entire world chronology. Now everybody, all traditional chronologies went wrong, but nobody bothered. And
True.
traditional historians started because the colonial rulers were powerful, and even the Western academia, they are controlling the entire narrative and other. The problem is someone has to genuinely, okay, it's not, we are not saying that since we are Indians, so we want to follow our tradition, whether it is wrong or right. It's not that. We are ready for logical and verification, everything. But that has to be neutral to the all blind assumptions or this kind of a faith-based chronologies. So we have to get rid of this communal chronology called first AD. It's not a secular chronology as claimed by the Western historians.
No,
so this is the objective of the Sattology.
So many of the Western academics, when I speak to them, they ferret out these numbers and names like this is what they have memorized, and then it becomes a matter of faith after that. That if you question it, that means you are the left. So the left is who questions this, and the right is who supports this. So
I'm just, because you are also following, I'm just one question. What is the evidence to say that first AD is the Jesus? Do you have anything? Nothing. Okay, astronomy, archaeoastronomy is the very established. You show me the Star of Bethlehem. What is that? It's a kind of a, what kind of a star? It's actually a conjunction of two planets. Okay, either you show that one, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, because those have been referred. So nothing like that. That also should be done during the heliacal rising, before the sunrise. So no evidence. Then what the Kepler said, no, there was a conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in somewhere in 7th BC. So he said, if you shift Jesus' birth into 7 BC, then everywhere 7 years problem will be cropped in.
That's
so
right.
There is a serious problem in the chronology. But now they say somehow they accept first AD. But that itself has so many errors in the Christian chronology. They can't establish the exact day and date for when he was crucified. But still, the historians follow first AD. Because now chronology can't, if you change any epoch, then entire chronology will be disturbed. So nobody wants to reconstruct. They're just doing the patchworks. This is the reason the Western historians miserably failed. Whenever they go back to 1000 BC, the second millennium BCE, dates are totally in a disarray. Actually, the Hammurabi has been given 5 different dates. They call it a long chronology, short chronology, ultra short chronology, middle chronology. I don't know how an individual can have 5 different birth dates. It means that world chronology or world historians have miserably failed. And we failed since last 300 years. We are not able to establish the absolute chronology for the second millennium BCE. It means something is wrong in our model. If you could not establish the errors in the chronology in 300 years, we are not going to establish the absolute chronology of second millennium BCE even 3000 years, because we are following the wrong path or wrong methodology. We have to correct our model. So that's why we have to actually re-examine and verify, re-establish the true sheet anchors of the world chronology. Just let us get rid of this frustrating nonsense.
Thank you so much, Vedvirji. It's a pleasure to hear, and what a wonderful presentation. I think with a lot of facts that you have presented here. And for viewers who are watching this, our whole attempt is to question and to comment and let us know your feedback. Namaste. Thank you.